So let's kickstart with the presentation. Today we have Mr. Sami Juena, the Firestop field engineer. He has 4 years of experience in MEP construction, safety and design, 1 year experience in passive protection products and engineering. He specializes in specification, local authorities and international compliances, solutions, analysis and selection, BOK and drawing. He just not this, he also comes with hands-on trainings, mock-ups and inspections. He is an mechanical engineer and he has done whole lot of external certification like IOSH and LEED certification. To start with, Sami, what is this IOSH and LEED certification?
Good morning, Naveen. Thank you for the beautiful introduction earlier. IOSH basically is a certification issued by the Institute of Occupational Safety and Health. It shows us basically the importance of safety and health practices within any environment, any organization. As for the LEED, it is also a certification issued by the Leadership in Energy and Environmental Design. It teaches us on how the buildings can be healthy or highly efficient and cost save in a greenly manner.
Great, Sami. So today's content is all about why Firestop is very important and the various content that will be covered under Firestop are how does fire happens, what are the basics that actually it causes the fire and effects of fire protection systems, Firestop products, applications and solutions. Having said this, Sami, can you just reiterate in terms of how fire accidents occur?
There are multiple reasons, to be honest with you, Naveen, but generally speaking, a combination of heat, oxygen, and fuel can result in a devastating fire. As you can see over here, and I quote, fire is a rapid oxidization process accompanied by the evolution of light and the flame and the emission of sound. Moving on forward, there are many factors. In the following slide, I'll be explaining about these factors. First one being the accidental, which can occur because of a thunder light maybe, or two cars colliding with each other, or maybe in construction sites, if we think of chemicals being stored in the under the sun heat, it also can cause such kind of fires. Second would be an electrical, which is very dangerous and unpredictable. It can occur because of a trip, supply exhaustion, and overheating of wires, and many other factors. Third and most important, in my opinion, is the negligence. Many of us, we find ourselves cooking ourselves a good meal in the evening, but responding to our WhatsApp maybe or to our email, forgetting the fact that we have something on the stove. This is very dangerous. It's a common practice that we are doing on daily basis, but believe me, it is very dangerous. And also, like charging our mobile phones, sometimes we look at our cable, but when it is bare, it is actually very dangerous. It might result in sparks that will lead into a fire. Fourth being the natural. I will highlight on some incidents that happened last year, like the ones in the Amazon forests, the one in Australia, and the one in Lebanon. Deliberate is an intentional action. Is like when someone intentionally starts a fire for example, putting on combustible into fire or throwing a matchstick to burn down something. It is basically an intentional act and unpredictable. For sixth and last is a cigarette. As many smokers, they do not pay attention sometimes to where they are throwing the cigarette, and it might fall to something very combustible and lead into a devastation, into a complete destruction of an entire building. It is unpredictable, so it is always advised for smokers to throw it in their allocated bins.
Thank you, Swami. Thank you for giving this nice introduction. And but Swami, when the fire outbreaks, what could be more devastating and the consequences could be?
For example, I'll show you over here some worldwide fire breakouts that happened throughout the world. Let me start with the Grenfell Tower located in the United Kingdom. The cause that happened over here is a malfunction in one of the freezer kitchens. It is a common thing, but also devastating. The fire started spreading very rapidly. It was being transported from one unit to another till it caught the external cladding of the building. Thus, it resulted into the stack effect. You will see the building burning from inside and outside. Second is another tower known as the Trump Tower, located in the United States of America. Also, in a general way, the fire was caused by a power wire that has been recorded overheated. And as I said, it is a major cause, but also very crucial if we don't pay attention to it. Thus, I always recommend to follow and comply the local standards and make sure that they are always followed at all times. Last but not least, it's a tragic story of the MGM Grand Hotel located in the United States. It has caught many fires throughout the years, but this incident particularly it started in one of the casinos down there, where the fire started in one of the slot machines and again started transporting from one unit to another. Keeping said so, it's a hotel, it's a five-star hotel. It is good to note that it was equipped with the best fire sprinkler system that reacted good enough to at least decrease the amount of fire. But the problem was with the fire dampers. Apparently, the maintenance was not being done on regular basis. So we need to highlight here that not only fire that is crucial to the sorry, excuse me, to the human lives, but also the toxic gases. So with the absence of fire dampers being operating good enough, sadly, the toxic gases started being traveling from one area to another, which has resulted in 78 deaths and more than 500 injuries, and those who were injured were severely injured. Moving to the consequences of fire accidents, many people would say on the top of their mind that it is a property loss, it is an asset damage, it's a loss of money. But believe me, it is more than that. It is an increased rates of death. And those who are injured with high levels of burning in their bodies, they wish that they were dead instead. So it is very important to take care of this incident at all time. And on the other hand side, as per NFPA, it was recorded earlier that fire department requires every 23 seconds worldwide. Can you imagine with me, Naveen? Every 23 seconds, in less than a minute, we are having a fire here somewhere in our world.
That's really an pressing issue, and human life is in danger. Sami, is there something that can be done to actually control these kind of fire accidents?
Definitely, Naveen. That is why I will introduce to you two systems known as the passive and the active system. Allow me, please, to start with the active system. Active system being known as the fire alarm and the firefighting. One is a detector, one is a suppressor. The detector meaning it works on electricity. It detects the smoke, it detects the gas when before the fire starts. And the suppression is when the sprinklers react to the heat of the fire and start splashing out water. But it is not enough. Why? Because here I will introduce to you the passive system. In the negligence of active system being working, let's imagine together, Naveen, that the fire already started and for some reason the firefighting pipe had to break down because of the heat, or the alarm could not read the signal very well. Thus, we had a mechanical and electrical failure. This is where our passive system comes in action.
Great. So, with the advent of technology and the latest instruments, it is just not important that we need to have an active system. We also need to employ an passive system. So that is been well explained, Sami. Yes.
Definitely. I will give you a real life example. For example, me and you work very hard to make some money to build our future home. It will look as lovely as the picture I'm showing here in my presentation. We will build it to be big enough to our family to fit in, but it will be very sad. Within one mistake, it will turn into dust if it was not properly protected with a passive fire protection. Thus, I will explain to you more how the practice of passive fire works. Basically, I'm not telling you that it will eliminate the fire. I will not telling you that it will extinguish the fire. Instead, may God forbid the fire starts in your living room, I will try to contain the fire within this room and not help it transport to the other room. Thus, you are limiting your damages. You are saving your other assets in the building or in the room.
Great, Sami. Can you explain it in further more detail? Because for me, it's just a confined room and with four walls. That's it. But is there more detail that can be added to this?
Definitely. Here is a cross-sectional drawing, 3D drawing, showing you multiple of areas that are exposed to fire. Allow me to show you 1 second. Let me put my laser pointer. Okay, over here, if you can see, we will start from the door. the entrance of your door. Here it is a fire-rated door sealed with some foam, fire-rated foam, and then at the floors, if you can see over here, it is sealed with Firestop. In every penetration, whether it is a wall or a floor, it is always recommended to seal it because this is the areas where the fire enters and escapes. Also here, going back to the Greenfell Tower example, this was the major cause of how the fire started catching the external cladding. So from every possible area or every possible opening in your house, there is always a probability of catching fire and being transported from one area or one zone to another. Main objectives of the Firestop is to rescue the people, to save their lives, to decrease the damages caused to them. Second would be decreasing your asset damage, as I explained, and trying to make the losses as minimal as possible. Third being a safe escape plan for those who are able to be rescued or able to see life again. And last but not least is the continuous operation after fire. In many case scenarios, you will see some buildings catching fire, but luckily or because of the presence of passive and active system, you will see some rooms that were not affected, as if this building did not catch fire the night before. So it is very important. Moving on to the measures and considerations, in the construction industry, they teach us that safety first. Safety starts with you and safety ends within you. Well, let me tell you something else. Also, fire protection, whether it is active or passive, it is everyone's responsibility, not only engineers. We have to watch out. We have to teach our kids not to play with matchsticks, not to cause an unintentional fire, like the deliberate slide that I was discussing about. And it starts very initial. We don't wait for the construction to start. Instead, we start taking the consideration in the design. We start taking the consideration in the specification. We start setting out standards. Mentioning standards, I will show you some examples over here. I'm bringing to you some international standards like the IBC, International Building Codes, the NFPA, the building regulations, and I will speak more about UAE, Dubai, since we are hosting from here. Over here, we follow the local civil defense, and sometimes we follow the fire life and safety consultant based on the site requirement, but all the practices are strictly to be followed by the code of practice issued by local defense of the certain emirate. Moving on to testing reports and standards. UL is known to be an underwriter's laboratory. It's a testing laboratory that does testing based on ASTM standards, EN standards, UL standards, and issues test reports accordingly to the products that they are being tested. Well, UL have test standards tested on American standards and European standards. Now, many people would come to you and ask you, Naveen, that how come you are the same manufacturer and you are providing the same type of sealant, but you are saying that they are not able to be mixed together? Well, if we speak in chemistry or if we speak in compatibility, yes, you are right as a questioner or as a customer. There is no problem with that. But the bigger issue is you don't have a proofing document to state so. If I tell you that this product is tested on American and the other one is tested on European, it is not advised and never accepted to be tested or applied together. Thus, you will never have any tested proof to close out your documentation. In addition to UL, we have many other testing agencies known as Certifier. We have Intertech, we have FM, we have ETA. And if you would like to inquire about more, you can check in the local civil defense, the UAE Safe and Life Safety Practice. You'll find a big section, almost 3 to 5 pages of tested agencies that are approved by the civil defense and the local authorities. Moving on to the system standard and testing, I'm getting you a screenshot over here to tell you more about the applications. First one being the penetration Firestop, which is known to be as MEP services like pipes, ducts, cable trays. Second being the fire resistive joint systems that are tested on UL2079, FM4990. For example, the UAE code calls always for ASTM 814, UL1479, EN1366-3, and those are the standards that we always refer to with respect to through penetration Firestop or resistive joints or even fire barrier systems. Uh, Now, as a manufacturer or as a solution provider, if you ask me, I want to provide a certain sealant to my products. Thus, I will require to have some more information, knowing what is the substrate. Is it a concrete or is it a gypsum? Is it a wall or is it a floor? In addition to that, I would like to ask you, what is the penetrate type? Is it a plastic pipe? Is it a metal pipe? Is it GI, galvanized, steel? What is it? And is there any insulation being applied on it? Yes or no? These answers will help me provide you with a good solution and an economical solution to fit your need and your site requirement. Moving moving on to the UL Product IQ, it is a website where you can search it up and go to Fisher Werke to check how many listed systems that we have. This is a small screenshot of all the listed systems that Fisher can provide. All of them have been tested. All of them have been approved upon the UL EU standards and UL US standards.
Sami, I literally understand this particular requirements in terms of the codes. But what if there is no listed system that has been mentioned? How we can actually support?
That is a very good question, Naveen. Thank you. Many people actually ask the same question. I will go back also to the local civil defense code. It is mentioned over here with me on the slide. It says engineering judgment, where there is no specific tested and listed fire stop available for a particular configuration, the manufacturer shall provide a site specific EJ along with the consultant and fire stop system contractor stamp at acceptance. What does that mean? It means the engineering judgment can be issued by the manufacturer, but it should be also acceptable within the UAE FLS code. So it is a consideration for us that we take and a risk that we take so we can provide you the solution. Not only that, Naveen, as I mentioned before, everything to do with the Firestop has to have a backing proof. You should always have a document to back up your statement. It is not logic over here. It is not suppose this, suppose that. And Firestop, we don't suppose, we don't think. We just follow the practices, we follow the codes, and we base our judgments with reference and respect to listed standards. So, for example, here in this picture, I'm showing you a demonstration of what is an EJ request form looks like. In the bottom, when I issue it back to you as a customer, I will always refer it back to a tested system. I cannot back up my EJ without a tested system and in reference to a tested system.
Great explanation. Thanks, Sami. But however, could you please explain in terms of what are the products and solutions that we actually have to solve these kind of problems? Yes, you have shown us the cross section earlier in terms of various pipes and penetrations that is actually running across and it is invisible. So what are the products and solutions that we have for these kind of problems?
Sure. I will come back to the cross-sectional drawing that I showed earlier. I want you and our audience to visualize all the services here. As I said, we have the door, we have the floors, we have the joints, we have the more than one pipes passing together, we have the duct giving us fresh air to our rooms, we have the cable trays that is giving us electricity inside our rooms, and we have the risers on the outside. These are all the common and most known applications in any building, in any construction site. Thus, I will present to you now our Fisher Firestop products. It consists of an extended range of products actually to meet almost all the necessities of the field and applications. We at Fisher, we provide the solutions to nearly all the applications, and we try to always give the most economical solution to those who ask. The range consists of many products, as you can see, subdivided into sealants, sprays, coatings, wraps, colors, special products. I will discuss them a bit more in my slides. Now, allow me please to start with the applications, with the first one, most common one being the civil application. As we said earlier, the head of wall application. I will introduce to you a product called FIAM, known as Fisher Intumescent Acoustic and Mastic. The name says it all, as you can see. It is used for head of wall joints. I also have the rapid fire seal product RFS that can be used inside the building. And in the external joints, I can introduce to you another product called FFRS, Fisher Fire Rated Silicone. It is advised to be done in the external due to the moisture and the temperature of the surroundings. And otherwise, we can always stick to the FIAM and the RFS. Moving on to the MEP, let me please start with the metal pipes. we have over here a product called FIAM US. This is a very good example to explain the difference. Now, FIAM and FIAM US are the same name, are the same everything, but why you think we called it US? Simply to differentiate that one product is tested on the European standard and the other one is tested on the American standard. And yes, they are different in color. FIAM will be used in the metal pipes. As you can see over here, I have a firefighting pipe on my left and I have chilled water on my right. Moving on to the insulated metal pipes, I can introduce you another three products, one being the FIGM. It is an intumescent graphite-based material. I have the UFS, which is a universal fire sealant with high fire rating hours, and again, the FIAM US. Moving into the plastic pipe for drainage or water supply in plumbing, I will introduce also the same products such as FIAM US, UFS, and FIGM. You can see that we have several applications over here. We have insulated and non-insulated. We have big sizes, small sizes. All the selections will be purely on the manufacturer. He will always make sure to give you the best solution and most economical as well to fit your site requirement. We have also for the bigger sized pipes, plastic pipes mainly, we introduced the wraps and collars over here on the top left. It has been done in one of our testing where we have used our FIPW wrap, and in the centered picture over here we have our FIWS strap along with our universal collar, and in the last picture we introduced to you the Fischer Firestop collar, also used to, if we don't have enough annular gap, we can just stick it to between the service and the substrate and get it over with to ease our application. Moving on to the ducts and dampers, this is an interesting application to me personally, to be honest, because I always face this question: why should we apply Firestop to ducts or to dampers? The damper itself, it is fire rated and it is already preventing the fire. Yes, I agree with you 100%. But as we agreed earlier, it is not only the fire that is impactful. It's not only the fire that is dangerous to our lives, but instead the smoke, the toxic gases. So yes, the fire dampers act as a fire stop as a whole, but we will need something to seal the gaps between the retaining angles on the wall to prevent the smoke from traveling. Why? Because the blades of the dampers, even when they close, they will not fully be able to prevent the smoke from traveling. In case we have no dampers at site, such as the last picture on my right hand side, I can introduce also the same product where I have tested system and listed system with either UFS or FIGM. FIAM US. Moving on to the electrical services.
Swami, I have one question. Can you go to the previous slide?
Sure.
I'm able to see a whole lot of stickers in these kind of images. What are these stickers and how effective or important it is?
Very good, Naveen. It's a good question. I thought no one will pay attention to it, but thank you. On this sticker, basically, we mention the listed system reference number, for example, CAJ1239, and then we talk about the service, who is the contractor, and when was this application been applied. Why? Because when the inspector comes and check, he records it down that this application has been done on so and so date, and so implies to the local authorities when they come and inspect and you hand over the building. It is always very important to have this three things mainly: one, being the fire rated hours; two, being the listed system that has been applied over here; and three, when was the date that was this application applied.
Great.
Moving on to the electrical containment, as we all know, there are many. That is why I will also provide you with many solutions. We have cable trays, we have cables, we have bare cables, ladders, trunks, bus bars, everything. Thus, I will give you many solutions like RFS, FIAM, UFS, the mortar, the pillows, the coated boards. On the top left screen over here, you can see an RFS application being applied with a backing material. And also we have with our mortar on the top right picture. Below it, we have the bundles of cables being treated with either FIAM US or UFS. On the picture right next to it on the left, we have more than one cable tray passing through the same opening. Thus, we are using the coated board. I'll explain a bit more about it in the next picture. Over here, we might have multiple penetrations. There are several sites that are congested maybe in space, or the design does not allow them to run all the MEP services freely from every direction. So it is always advised to have a modular support, having all the services run together through the same walls. Thus, in such cases, this is where our coated board comes in handy. It is a piece of rock wool that is coated with the Firestop, and it is used to seal around the big opening, and then we start applying the sealant to the every respective penetrant that we have, and we treat it as if it is a covering. Has been casted or something. We have a pipe, we treat it with the FIAM US. We have a duct, we treat it with the FIAM. We have an insulated PPR pipe, maybe we treat it with FIGM, so it will act like a substrate, and it will also prevent fire and save lives. I'd like to thank you so much. I will open the floor now to the questions, and I hope I can answer all your questions. But make sure, if I did not get back to you on your questions due to the shortness of time, be assured that I will get back to you by email.
Well, can I explain? There are two questions from Mohammad Jahangir and Andres. I need this complete presentation and supporting documents, approvals, and project data on my email.
Can you please repeat the question, Naveen?
I need the complete presentation and supportings, documents, approvals, and project data on my email.
Project data? What kind of project
So,
data? Because the
so this
pictures
is
that has been given, my dear Muhammad, is multiple, but I will definitely get back to you. I'll discuss it with you first before I can provide you, because there are many documents that you are requesting.
so. There is a question from Mr. Saifuddin. Can you can your system accommodate rock wool board and you are coating, or you have only coated board systems?
Yes, my system can accommodate rock wool. For any fire stop, we require a backing material such as rock wool or even backer rod. So we have both actually. Yes, you can provide the rock wool, and I'll give you the sealant. And we have coated board, as I explained, for bigger openings.
Okay. There is one more question. FIAM is one of the intumescent sealants. Why don't we use it in combustible penetrants?
Thank you for your question. This is interesting because FIAM has not been yet tested mostly for combustible penetrants. So, as I said earlier, to prove our justification, we need to have a listed system. Once I do a test with FIAM on those penetrants, I can answer your question. But thank you for your question.
Here is one more question from column Brophy. In a plastic closed square duct, do I need to insert a fire pillow?
No, no need. Mainly the pillows are used for cable trunking.
So one more continuation question from Saifuddin. What is the density of the board?
It varies. It's upon the project specification. It can be 50 kilogram per meter cubed. It can be 64, 90. Whatever the specification calls for, I can comply with the appropriate solution.
So that's it from questions tab. If in case you have any other questions, okay, there is one more question from Mr. Sarath Jacob. Is FIAM paintable and what are the color variants available?
It is paintable, Sarat. Yes. In the region here or over here in Dubai, we have it in white color only.
Okay. Fawd has asked a question. What is the maximum fire rating tested on your sealant systems?
Sorry again. What is the maximum fire rating? It
In
is
tested.
4 hours.
Yes,
4 hours and above.
4 hours. Okay. So there's one more question from Nyogi. Do we have fire stop system purely for steel structures?
Let me get back to you, please. It will require me to give you some proofing documents, as I said. I'll share with you some data sheets to answer you better.
Okay. There is one more question from Nikhil. Hi Sami, what will be your solution for PVC membrane junction box? PVC membrane junction box.
Let me get back to you as well, Nikhil, please.
One more question from Saifuddin. I'm asking the density of coated board types.
You want to know, sorry, I am asking the density of coated board type S is 140 kilogram per meter cubed.
Okay. So it seems that we have answered almost all questions. Nothing new in this. So, irrespective of this, if in case there are any other questions, please write back to us. And thanks for attending, be actively participating to the complete presentation. Here is a now it's a time to poll your feedback in terms of how the presentation was, how what the content was, whether it was interactive. So based on this, we will actually update our presentation skills and the future presentations also. It's time for poll. Sami, is there any other points that you want to highlight during this particular point while people are preparing for the next question or answering the polls? Is there any key point that you want to say from Fisher in terms of the key services that we actually provide?
Nothing much, to be honest. I, I find it an interesting topic, to be honest. It is a passion more than just a career. Firestop. It is a passion more than just a career. Uh, it is always an interesting topic to discuss, even on personal level. Uh, but as if I want to speak on behalf of Fisher, I can say that we always offer the best solutions available, and we try to, after sale, we give a full service and full support to our customers. We try to give them the most economical solutions. We care more about what is happening and during the application than just selling the product. So this is what is mainly interesting, to be honest. And we take safety very serious over here.
We are well within the time, and if in case somebody has any questions that needs to be answered, you are free to ask it now also. And at the end also, we will be leaving Mr. Sami's email ID, phone number, so you can actually contact him directly for further inquiries also. So there is one question from Mr. Nikhil on the chat window. Every site has one site access cases. Why don't we have UL system for that? Kindly work out on it.
Thank you, Mr. Nikhil. It is in our notes, of course. We are aware that in many cases, such as shafts, we have only one side. It will require some time. It will require a lot of testing to be done and have them tested and approved. Thank you.
So that comes to the end of the session, and thank you for being wonderful audience for the day. And be rest assured that we will come back to you with interesting topics and what we discussed now. Some people have given your feedbacks in terms of the upcoming or your thought in terms of the next topic. Sure, we will evaluate these questions and the thought process. We'll come back to you in near future. Thank you all.
Thank you.